So today we're going to be checking out a brand new plugin company called Sketch Audio. They've sent me a few plugins, but with that said, we're going to check the demo track and then take it from there. Let's go. So what's up guys, welcome back to the channel, Chris here. So like I said, checking out Sketch Audio. Now, they've actually sent me a few of their plugins. This isn't a sponsored video, however, they sent me the plugins, said if you want to check them out, feel free, no obligations. And so here I am talking about them with my unbiased opinion, no money exchanged, all of that good stuff. But I was quite fascinated. They were specifically highlighting one of their plugins called Dr. Vibe. You can see we're currently in the beta build because the plugins aren't actually out yet. They'll be out very soon. Probably by the time of this video, they will be out. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go check them out. Like I said, we've got a few plugins. If we look at the list, we've got Dr. Vibe, a lo-fi effect, Fuzz Droid, a distortion effect, Galaxy Brain, a delay, Hyper Boost, a clipper, and Scissor Hands, a filter effect. One thing that kind of caught my interest was this Dr. Vibe effect. It's modeled after the 303 sampler, specifically the vinyl compressor, so you get a lot of this compression, lo-fi, vinyl, hiss, wow and flutter, all this kind of stuff. Very much up my street. I love a good lo-fi effect, especially something that slams and distorts and gets all crunchy and lovely stuff. We're going to dive into all of these one at a time, see what they're doing. And yeah, feel free to use the chapter markers below if you want to look at a specific plugin. Let's start with Dr. Vibe. I'm just going to chuck it on the whole mix just so we can hear what it's actually doing and take it from there. So let's listen to it bypassed and then turn it on and have a fiddle. Here there, just a quick flick through all of the controls. We've got some wonderful compression, lo-fi, filtering, bit of noise, dust, all of this kind of stuff, resampling. There's a lot of things going on to kind of achieve that lo-fi effect. There's a plugin that's got a similar vibe to this, if you're familiar with the Wolf compressor, also modeling the same piece of hardware, so you're getting a similar kind of vibe. I quite like what this is giving me, especially that mix slammer sounding really nice and crispy and just intense. I love stuff that isn't, or should I say, that doesn't shy away from being really in your face, and this really does that. Yeah, we've got a few controls just to dive through everything. You can see we've got these 3 different sections. Woo! If we turn them on, you can hear they're obviously playing with our volume. But starting at the top, we've got the vinyl. We've got basically a filter here, very nice to give us a bit more of the lo-fi vibe. Then we've got a few noise generators, such as this general noise and some dust, which is like the vinyl crackle kind of thing. Got a wow and flutter to basically change the pitch, as well as a ratio, which what I'm assuming is changing the rate of that. Let's just find something to hear that. Yeah, so that's basically doing our rate. Next up, we've got a distortion needle. Not hearing loads out of this, but it's there. Can we see, is there a manual? Applies geometric distortion characteristics of old record players, subtle to extreme. So we got that. That's what the manual says. I'll take it. Moving over, this ADC DAC, analog to digital converter, digital to analog converter. So that's giving us the changes of sample rate and the bit depth, all of this kind of stuff. Drive, output. Some filters, very nice. Oh, sets the anti-aliasing. Interesting. So pre-sample rate conversion, smooth late 80s rack mount, steep entry-level Japanese, bright early noughties workhorse. And is that the same on the post? No, it is different. None, no filtering, maximum digital sparkle. Gentle uses a shallow filter to reduce digital artifacts. Same uses same filter as pre-conversion filter, darkest option. Okay, so we've got a couple different flavors. These are all flavor controls, I like to call them, or tone controls if you kind of wanted to simplify it, giving us a lot of different options for tone. So let's just have a quick flick through what is possible with these. There's our sample rate, bit depth, some drive. You can hear that, and it's really nice because it's quite a subtle drive, or subtle maybe isn't the term, but dark, you know, not super crispy, not super in your face. Quite like that. That's quite nice. Moving over, we've got the mix slammer. This is more of the compressor kind of vibe that you would get from the 303. Not too many controls. Simple compression controls, attack, release, Q. I'm curious, this is on the envelope, but what's Q doing on the envelope? Sets the relative quality of the envelope follower. Lower values result in noisier envelopes. Okay, so I guess it's working alongside the compressor. Let's actually hear this on the drums. Obviously, I've got this on the mix bus right now, but I can just solo and we can give it a listen. Okay. It's interesting because playing with these envelope controls, it doesn't work like a compressor. It's almost, in this case, feeling like it's changing the transient, that push-pull effect. It's almost applying the compression to certain areas, whereas whilst keeping it still pretty kind of dry in that initial state. I'm liking the vibe, and we've got mix control, input, output. So if you want to push harder into the compressor, turn it down, all of that kind of stuff, you've got all the controls there. So that's all the controls of Dr. Vibe. Last things to check out. Bear in mind, all of these plugins have a similar UI. So you're going to see a lot of controls that are shared amongst them, which is really convenient for the sake of familiarity. We've got a couple of presets, got a few folders in here. If you want to dive through all of them, we can take a look at some of those in a bit. But lastly, we've got standard quality, high quality, output, mix, And I really like this match feature. It's basically a gain match. So if you've got the sound coming out a lot louder or a lot quieter, just give that a slam and it will just compensate the volume. And I noticed it actually works surprisingly well. I find a lot of these auto gain kind of adjustments never work like I want them to. I always end up having to adjust it manually. But this actually works really well. Let me just demonstrate really quick. Release is crazy. All right. Turn it off. Sounds the same volume to me. We've got this mix control. It's pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. And then we have this morph, which I quite like this. We've got a slider here to basically morph between two different states of this plugin. Could be more intense, less intense. You've even got this go button to just activate a certain kind of part, which is really cool because if you just wanted to turn on a lo-fi section for maybe a song or on a drum kit or something like this and just have it be a more on-off kind of effect, you could just automate that, which is really cool. Or you could leave it somewhere and, you know, have it go in between those two states, as well as if you click on the morph button up here, that allows you to actually pick which part you want the plugin to kind of land on. We also have two presets and the settings, all that kind of fun stuff. But that's Dr. Vibe. Really cool. Really enjoying this one so far. And I shouldn't forget there's also a randomize button on the presets, which is fun. Normally, randomize just randomizes the controls, which can be quite chaotic, but this at least just picks a random preset for you. It can be quite fun. But that's Dr. Vibe. So let's move on to another plugin. I'm going to turn that off for now and we can check out Scissor Hands. This was the filter basically, and I'm using this on the keys very subtly, but let's dive into what's going on here. So if I just put the effect on full, just so you can see what we're doing, it sounds like this. Right? Off, on. This is a pretty standard filter. Low pass, high pass, modulation, and then a couple of extra little fun things. But then obviously we share all of the same match volume, morphing, presets, all of that kind of stuff, wet, dry, whatever. But if we dive into some of the actual controls, you can see we've got a few extra things going on. We even have drive, we've got the polarity, different shapes, we've got sequences, as well as like stereo imaging, changing the phase, warping, this kind of thing. So let's just hear some of the possibilities with this. Can modulate. Really nice. Or if I turn the modulation off and use the envelope. Or you even have internal and external side chaining if you want to use something else. You can hear that morphing with the envelope. Let's try the sequence. Sync it. Really sick, loving that. You can even use this to basically change the speed. It's a multiplier for the sequencer. You can double or half the speeds, as well as we've got this self FM. This, I'll be honest, I don't even know what it does. It sets the amount of self FM filter output to cutoff. Spicy. Let's give that a listen. Let's turn off any of the modulation we've got going on. Nice. Let's try it on the other side. Feels like a very nice subtle drive. It's kind of doing this frequency modulation type thing, but to me it just kind of sounds like a drive, which, speaking of drive, we've also got those. On both sides. Really nice. I'm actually really digging the sounds of these. They sound super wicked. That's pretty much all of the controls. I don't want to linger on all of these plugins too much because we have a few to get through. Maybe some last things. We've got obviously controls over the LFO, swing and warp and phase and stuff like that. But that's pretty much all of the controls we've got on Scissor Hands. So let's move over to Fuzz Droid. Now I'm going to chuck this on the drums. Let's see what cool sounds we can get out of this. It's nice we can change the headroom. That gives us a little bit more crunch with less drive. Let's hear these other types. 2 types, okay. Interesting. Oh, we've got some built-in filters and bias. That's some proper fuzz control right there. Super nice. Not loads to talk about here. Sounds like a nice little fuzz. Flick through some presets. It's nice actually. Woo. There you have it. Really nice fuzz. I kind of want to hear it through a guitar, so just bear with while I grab that. Okay, let's hear this drive. There it is, okay. Woo! Let's just remind ourselves where we were. Wow, loving that on the guitar. Sounds nice. So there you go. There's the Fuzz Droid. Let's keep moving. Galaxy Brain. Now I've got that on this guitar take right here. This is with it off. So that's bypassed. Looking at the plugin, you can see we've got your standard delay controls, your standard modulation controls that we share in the other plugins, as well as all the other kind of similar features, but we have this shifter. According to this, the shifter sets the frequency shift amount as a percentage of the range. What does that mean? I don't really know, but let's check it out. It's a pitch shifter. So you get some kind of pitch modulation type thing. You can obviously pick which direction it's gone. If you want it to slide down, or you want to be really subtle pitch modulation. It's a cool effect, to be fair. I've never really seen this utilized. I'm sure it exists, but it's not normally something I reach for. But overall, it's just a really nice, clean sounding delay. Do we have tone controls? We do have tone controls. Look at that. Let me turn this off for now. Okay, we've got some dynamics. If you want to do the whole ducking thing, I'm gonna put it out there. My favorite delay is either between Echo Boy and the Valhalla delay, mainly for two reasons. I love Echo Boy because of all the different tones and flavors of delay you can get out of it, and I love Valhalla because it's so user-friendly. This is sharing a lot of the similar things I love about the Valhalla one. In terms of options, everything's there. You've got your stereo, you've got your ping pong if you want to do it, some skew, you've got your filtering, your ducking. It's kind of one flavor of delay in this case, but it sounds really nice, and you've got all the fun like shifter and some modulation stuff as well. You have the same, or you even have a built-in clipper, which is interesting. But you've got, you know, that plus all of the morph controls, so you can actually shift between a couple different delay sounds if you so wish. Sounds really cool overall. I'm really digging it. I always check the feedback to see what kind of feedback are we dealing with. Is it the type that just endlessly feeds back into itself, creating this raucous kind of scream of the delay, or is it manageable? And this one is actually manageable. It's not going to rip your head off, but when you change the delay time, you get all of those fun analog whirls. So it's pretty cool. You got your mix, you got dynamics, glide. Oh, I guess that's the glide of this when you're changing the speeds. And yeah, that's your Galaxy Brain. Really nice. I don't know if I would add anything myself. I do always enjoy a reverb with a delay, but in this case, you could probably just slap a reverb after it. You never know, the reverb might actually end up being their next plugin. But with that said, let's check out the last effect, which is the Hyper Boost. This is a clipper. We can go back on the drums because I always find myself using a clipper on drums. And let's check it out. Probably gonna have to pull the ceiling down first just so we can hear what's actually going on. Drive it a little. Can hear the clipper. Interesting, we have some tone controls as well. Match that volume. So let's actually hear the gain match. Let's look at it on the screen. We've got, we're hitting minus 19, minus 18. Turn it on. Minus 23, which is what we love to see, a little bit of that perceived loudness. It's quieter, coming through, but sounds the same, if not louder. And we love that because it makes your mixes a lot louder. But looking at the other controls we've got here, we can change the curve. This is the actual curve over here, so you can change that knee, basically. Got a bit of metering, which is convenient. But that's kind of it. I like these. Very simple, straightforward, pretty much what you see is what you get in terms of controls on the front. You're not doing any menu diving and stuff like that. It's just a couple of clicks and you're working around getting a sound, which is something I'm really trying to get into, is the idea of less is more. From doing these videos, I have found myself collecting quite an absurd number of plugins, all of which doing many different things, but what I'm really appreciating is plugins that just let you do the thing. So if I need a delay, everything's right in front of you. Don't need to be digging and kind of losing the train of thought of why am I doing this in the first place? And this is to achieve a result without hopefully losing your concentration and getting lost in the woods. These plugins are really nice. I have a good feeling about this brand. I think they're gonna be one to compete with for sure, to say the least. So thanks again, Ryan, for sending these over. Again, I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to check these out. Sketch Audio. That's about it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comment section, what do you think about Sketch Audio? Do you think they're gonna be a competitor to stand against? And yeah, let us know. I'd love to know your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The support really helps, and thank you to anyone who's already done so. Once again, I've been Chris Vella. I'll see you in the next one.